Okay, guys, today is Tuesday. The market is down. You can see gold on the left side. Gold is at $5,200 an ounce right now. NASDAQ is all the way down to 24,530s after rebounding a little bit yesterday and then giving it all back when it opened up this morning on renewed fears of, war, essentially, in the Middle East. Again, the Middle Eastern stuff is escalating. U.S. and Israel did some more strikes. Iran is hitting U.S.-Israel targets in the region, including drone attacks. Strait of Hormuz risks are on the front page here. Oil is spiking up. You can see oil up to $77 a barrel this morning for West Texas Intermediate crude. You know, and again, there's a lot of talks about the Strait of Hormuz being closed. If the Strait of Hormuz stays closed more than a few days, oil prices could remain elevated or go higher. Much of the region's oil gets shipped through that strait. And so that's why if you hear us talking about the Strait of Hormuz a lot, that is why. And honestly, this is renewing kind of stagflation worries. And what do I mean by that? A lot of people are now worried that the oil-driven inflation is going to trickle into everything, as well as we might get potential weakness here. Janet Yellen, which I know she doesn't have the biggest amount of fans, said the Iran shock makes the Fed more reluctant to cut because it risks both slower growth and higher inflation. They said, quote, "I think the recent Iran situation puts the Fed even more on hold, more reluctant to cut rates than they were before this is happening." And they think the conflict's impact on oil will bring both a hit to U.S. economic growth and an increase in inflationary pressures, complicating the job for the Fed. And yeah, that's where we're at today. So the Strait of Hormuz risks are here. The Iranian commanders are threatening to, quote, set ablaze vessels, with claims the strait is closed. Against West Texas Intermediate, or WTI, crude is up around 7% to the mid-70s after an 8% jump yesterday. Other names that are dropping this morning, we had the NASDAQ is obviously down today. We closed at about 25K. We're at 24.5s. You can look at the SPY, the S&P, it is down as well, although it's starting to rebound back up over the last few minutes here. But here's the SPY right here. SPY is down pretty significantly on the day. Let me make sure this mic is closing up. Most big mega cap stocks: Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet, Nvidia, Netflix, Amazon. Most mega cap stocks are down. We have the IEA ready to stabilize oil market, rolled by Iran war, they say. And we had Best Buy earnings just come out. Best Buy just dropped earnings. They are up to $70 a share. We also had Target gap up a little bit to 118s. AutoZone. Here's AZO right here. It's gapping down a little bit on earnings, I believe. Oil storage company VTTI says it has suspended operations at the Fujairah terminal, according to a statement. And there's fears in markets right now, guys. There's fears. You know what's interesting, and I guess it's not that hard to predict, but I titled this stream yesterday before any of this happened, and then I woke up this morning and I was like, I was sitting there thinking, maybe I need to change my title right now. Maybe I need to change my title. Maybe the market's up. Maybe the fears are gone. But as I awoke, I realized that the title was correct. So let me know if you're long or short today. Are you buying up today or are you still selling? Let me know. Saudi Aramco has reportedly informed crude buyers that cargoes must be loaded from Yanbu on the Red Sea coast. Again, Target posted 244 versus 215 expected. Revenue of 30.5. They expected 30.47. SSS is down 2.5% though, but Target's still up. I'm in Target. That's good. Oil pulling back a little bit as we speak. Look at oil dip under $76 a barrel right now, but it's still pretty elevated on the day. And this is in a period where a month ago oil was what, $55 a barrel, maybe less. Here's a 20-day chart. Yeah. At the beginning of February, it was at $61 a barrel. You can see the spikes in oil on the left side here. So oil has made some jumps from all of this news. Again, energy stocks are the winners right now from this. Exxon, Lockheed Martin, defense. You know, the street is basically debating how long this conflict keeps up. Yeah, I think we have Eurozone CPI as well today. Let me make sure it hasn't already come out. But I don't know how much that's going to influence the market with the stuff going on. But it's worth watching. Yeah. So Eurozone CPI is already out. It showed up higher than expected as well. Year over year for February, 2.4%. For core, 1.9% for headline. Both of those were higher than the expected and higher than previously. So again, Eurozone CPI is out, higher than expected, higher than previous for both core and headline Eurozone CPI. And then tomorrow we got ADP's job report. We have services PMI from ISM. We have 30-year mortgage rate data come out. When do the Challenger job cuts show up? Let me make sure. How about Bitcoin? Yeah, let's take a look. Bitcoin. Ooh. Bitcoin at 67,000. Bitcoin's still doing okay. It's holding some of the gains. Yesterday it ripped. And then this morning it dipped. So yesterday it did well. You can see the big move it did yesterday. This big pop. It's consolidated on the downside and then dipped a little bit. It's still net green from this though. It's still up from yesterday. Again, another market that's down. And again, for Bitcoin, I'm watching like 68 right here. I think 68 makes sense. 68 right there. 70, I think also. 70, I think makes sense. Maybe 65 down here. Kind of the three levels I'm watching on the upside and downside: 65, 70, and 68. So we'll see what happens there. But again, look at gold. Gold down on the day. Silver pretty down as well. Gold on the left, here's silver. Silver at 83s right now, 83s. I despise Best Buy now. It used to be my favorite. They have changed. Horrible customer service. I don't dislike Best Buy. I mean, if I got to pick up something same day, I don't mind it. You know, they're trying to sell me phones too much now. And so, like, you got phone salesmen as soon as you walk in. I don't really like that. But, yeah, NASDAQ, again, red on the day. 24.6 here. Another gap up at the open. Maybe that's what we get. Again, U.S.-Iran tensions here for sure now. We have Rutt, which is the NATO Secretary General, saying some things right now. He is saying Iran is close to getting hands on nuclear capability. So, oil is still interesting. I might buy oil, to be honest, right here. Yeah, I might buy oil right here. Alright, guys. So, yeah, I might buy oil. I just think there's more uncertainty. Although oil is elevated, there's a lot of rumors about oil going to $100 a barrel. And when I think they say $100 a barrel, I think they're talking about Brent. But again, we'll see. Yeah, I think they're talking about Brent. See what we'll see what everything else does. Gotta make sure. See, this is rhythmic. I don't want rhythmic. I want. Yeah, I'm looking at other news, guys. So NATO Secretary General Rudd says Iran is close to getting hands on nuclear capability. Is it time to buy crude right now? J Powell, look at his lips. Rate hikes incoming. I don't think we're gonna get rate hikes. I just don't think we're there yet. Maybe we do. The United Arab Emirates says we will operate more than 80 scheduled flights in the next phase to transport 27,000 plus passengers. So yeah. I'm gonna go with trade evade, end of day drawdown. What I want. I'm gonna pull Quant Tower up here so I can show it. But yeah, oil looks a little dippy. It's kind of small right now, so I'm looking at buying it. Again, one of the things that we're seeing is Eurozone inflation did spike this morning. So Eurozone inflation, again, higher than expected, higher than last time for headline and core on the year at the very least. Again, this showed up much earlier, but year over year for February showed up at 1.9% versus 1.7% expected and 1.7% last time for headline CPI. Core CPI showed up at 2.4% versus 2.2% last time and 2.2% expected. We also have Williams speaking at 10 a.m. today, or 9:55. Kashkari speaking at 11:45. And this is the last day of the week that it's a little light on economic reports, but it does pick up for the rest of the week. We have the labor report, we have ADP jobs data, we have jobless claims, we have GDP, we have PCE inflation, and more, I believe, this week. Yeah, so we have the jobs report, ADP, ISM services tomorrow. Don't forget how much gold pumped in 2025. It could dip. I don't see rate hikes during war, and that's actually bad because this will allow inflation to get out of hand. That's possible for sure. Why is gold behaving the same as the NASDAQ? I think gold is just up a lot. You know, if we look at gold here, here's gold. I think gold is just up a lot. Gold's still at 5,200, so this is right around where it was yesterday. Or not yesterday, maybe. Up to 50. Yeah. Gold got up to these crazy high levels last week. I'm still watching gold. 5,200 seems interesting to me. Buy silver now. Silver's down as well today. If we look at silver here, look at silver. Silver's not doing hot either. Will we get rate hikes in 2025? Put yes or no in chat right now. Will we get rate hikes in 2025? Buying tulips. Bull on tulips. Yes, we will get rate hikes in 2025. Nah, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to. I mean, we could. It's not like it's impossible to happen. We'd have to see really elevated inflation. Last time we got rate hikes, I believe, was 2022 or 2023. Raised rates like 500 basis points. And the reason we did that is inflation had spiked to 6, 7, 8, 9%. All right, let's do a poll. Will we get rate hikes 2026? Yes or no? Vote in the poll. Yeah, I think a lot of it, gas is relevant here. I think oil prices being elevated might make us pay more, and we're going to see some headline inflation spikes from the energy prices here. Depending on how long this lasts is really what it is. Yeah, so again, Eurozone CPI higher than expected. Manufacturing data beat expectations as well. PMIs have moved back into modest expansion. Street is also looking at the Friday payroll report that comes out. So we do have a payroll report on Friday going live. It is the official jobs report. Last one showed 130,000. I believe this one they're expecting for Friday. And we do get the prelim numbers tomorrow. But they're expecting for Friday 58,000. Last time was 130,000. So they are expecting payrolls. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm in 2026. I keep forgetting what year we're in. You know, that happens every time we're in the early new year. But I guess we're in March now, so it's not early. I'm just not used to it being 2026 here, guys. Gold nearly doubled in 2025. Can that trend continue? All right. Okay, so the Egypt Prime Minister says will not cut gas supplies to the industry. Says gas supplies to the industry will not be cut. Looking at our poll, 60% say no rate hikes. And I kind of got to agree with them. At least it might be confirmation bias on my part. I don't want us to raise rates, obviously. Not unless inflation starts to really show some negative signs, some heated signs, I should say. I don't necessarily want us to raise rates. I think pausing rates is a good balance. Rug pull market crash all week. Everyone says no to rate cuts, but what exactly is deflationary right now? Well, inflation's slowing in some areas. Like if you look at a CPI inflation graph, I don't think one bad inflation print shows signs of too much risks. The real risks right now are from oil premiums being too high and causing some inflation. But I would argue, especially since 2022, we have seen inflation slowing. You know, here's a CPI inflation graph, right? So since 2022, again, and this was kind of nuanced. I talk about this a lot. This spike here was from 2020. 2020, we did stimulus checks. We did quantitative easing. We did super low interest rate environment. We had supply chain problems. A lot of stuff happened that made inflation spike by 2022. And this is when we started raising rates last, somewhere around here, actually. It was somewhere around here. Once we started raising rates, we raised rates like 500 basis points. Since then, we've seen pretty slow decline back to where we are now. Now, we did get one elevated print last time for PPI inflation. PPI was higher than expected. I think CPI was actually lower than expected, if I remember correctly. And so we'll see what CPI comes out next week. The first official CPI report that we've seen in a while. That comes out next week on Wednesday, March 11th. We get CPI inflation data. So that shows up next week. We'll see what that looks like. And yeah. The IDF says they identified launch of missiles towards Israel from Iran. Yeah, Target is up on earnings. We do have Williams speaking today. Kashkari speaking today. Most of them are a little bit later on. So, again, Williams is supposed to speak at 9:55. Yeah, Williams is supposed to speak at 9:55. Kashkari speaks at 11:55. We have Jeff Schmid, who's the Kansas City Fed. They speak at 10:10. And, yeah. Again, we're still getting rumblings of drama here. Oh, man, dude, I didn't pull up my platform fast enough. Remember, guys, I wanted to buy oil right here. You guys remember I was like, I'm thinking about buying oil. I'm thinking about buying oil. I did not buy oil. And, yeah. I did not buy oil, guys. And I should have. It's right there. Was thinking about it. It looked like a dip by 200 exponential. Still fears. I'm 36, bro, and I forget the days at times. Bro, in my 30s, I've just been getting hurt a lot more. I trained jiu-jitsu yesterday, dude. My neck hurts. My neck, my back. Like, I feel like every other time I train jiu-jitsu, I get hurt. Something happens. I hurt my hip racing my son the other day. Just all the time now. It doesn't stop. What should I do? If inflation starts to get out of control, then yes, we'll have to raise rates. What do you think is out of control inflation? If the admin keeps doing stupid things, the Fed may not have a choice but to raise rates to try to stabilize the economy. You're getting old? Welcome. I know, man. I feel it. I feel it. Okay, so UK Chancellor Reeves in the spring statement said the global environment has become more uncertain in recent days. Again, the global environment has become uncertain recently. I see increased rates only if inflation gets over 10. Brent crude goes to 120. That is out of control inflation like 2022. Yeah, look at oil start to fall though. So oil is starting to fall. Here's 2022. Again, oil at $76 a barrel here. I don't know if I want to buy it now. Bitcoin just tapped 68K. See, look at this level we had on our charts here. So we were talking about this level. We drew this level earlier, 68,000. See how long ago this was. 5, 6, 7, 8. 23 minutes ago, we tapped the AK in Bitcoin. No rate cuts until 2027. Yeah, looking at our poll here, we got about 200 votes. 57% say no, we won't get rate cuts this year in 2026. 43% say yes, we will. Again, UK Chancellor Reeves says, I will meet North Sea industry leaders tomorrow. World has become more uncertain in the last few days. We need to secure economy against shocks, and I will meet North Sea industry leaders. Again, the oil policy responses started back up and by Saudi Aramco asking clients whether they're able to load oil cargoes from the Red Sea rather than the Persian Gulf. Again, the IEA is supposed to meet today at 2 p.m. Paris time to discuss the situation. It says it stands ready to stabilize the market. See if they do. Oh wow, I don't know why this thing is on the chart here. Hold on, let me get this out the way. I don't know what I just did. Let me move that out the way. %90 chance we don't see rate cuts this year. Yeah, I think there's a chance we might not get rate cuts. I don't know if we're gonna do rate hikes. The president just tweeted. He said, quote, their air defense, Air Force, Navy, and leadership is gone. They want to talk. I said, too late. Again, so the President Trump tweeted regarding Iran. He said their air defense, Air Force, Navy, and leadership is gone. They want to talk. I said, too late. End quote, U.S. President. Let me see if there's more to this. Let me check. I'm going to check to see if he's tweeted more than this right now. We do see oil jump a little bit on that quote. There's so many ads, dude. So many ads. That's all the quote said. He linked a Washington Post article that is trying to make me pay. I'm not paying. Again, air defense, Air Force, Navy, and leadership are gone, he says. They want to talk. I said too late. End quote. UK's Chancellor Reeves says inflation and borrowing are down. Reeves pledges a state that doesn't stand back but steps up. Trying to check economic news to make sure. The UK rate meeting isn't today, is it? No. No, it's not. Okay. Again, I'm not going too deep into either side. I really am politically neutral in this stuff. I'm not going to go too deep into it. To be honest, it's just presidents doing president things, you know. I'm not really going to say yes or no, agree, disagree, good, bad, you know. Hey, good morning. I placed the same bet end of the day at above 75 for oil. One of those poly market apps. I hit 240. I bought last night when it was 71. Hey, nice, man. Yeah, and we did get some warning regarding today. Like, we did get warning, you know, a couple different heads basically said that we might see more stuff yesterday, and then we did, and now oil is elevated versus where it was. Again, NASDAQ is down. S&P is down. Most mega cap stocks, Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, all down today. Look very, very similar. Very, very similar. First time in my life I'm doing small trades. Small trades are the right way, brother. They're the right way. Because the reality of it, a lot of people doing big trades, bro, they're just like, look, man, I'm not even hating on them. Like, let them live their life. But they are doing so to grow a following on social media. They're taking big swings and big bets, but they're net down. And, you know, I think small, steady wins is the best way. Yeah, I did see him get taken down by Armin. Armin's going to take him down, though, Bunny. Like, Armin's about to take him. Like, Armin's good. Very good. You know, he'll be champ, probably. Gambling and losing is a lifestyle. You mean losing? Hack, it's losing. L-O-S-I-N-G. You're welcome. Losing. L-O-S-I-N-G, sir. Yeah, base hits, small, steady wins. Much better. Much better. Oh, okay, my bad, Hack. It's all good. It's all love here, my friend. I'm just trying to I'm genuinely trying to help. I'm not even making fun. I think that's one of the most common things I see people get wrong is they say losing versus losing. It's all good here. I'm just trying to help. I just made a quick 450 profit from that trade on MOBX. I posted the news for here earlier, in and out in under 6 minutes. Hey, good job, dude. Hope you make a lot of money. Thank you, sir. Yeah, the OBR expects inflation to fall faster than they forecast in the autumn budget. Stay loose so you don't lose, guys, is what I'm saying. All right, get y'all's mind out the gutter, chat. Growth will be slower in 2026, according to UK Finance Minister Reeves. Again, looking at our poll, we asked people, will we get rate hikes this year in 2026? 59% say no, and I agree with the 59%. Again, maybe it's confirmation bias, but I agree with the majority here. I hope we don't get rate hikes this year. Inflation is down on what end? Are we starting a major correction? Inflation down? Well, I mean, it depends on your definition of down. Do we have lower pricing? Probably not. Do we have slower price increases? To a certain extent, in some metrics, we do. Now, again, core excludes food and energy prices. And so a lot of the ones we look at, you know, core is going to exclude food and energy. But headline inflation is obviously a little bit risky right now with the oil stuff going on. Again, in CPI inflation, we have seen slowdowns in inflation, especially from the peaks we saw in 2022. And I would argue we're right around the middle here. Here's 2.5%. We're right around the middle here, you know. So again, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. PPI inflation did show elevation last week. So we did see PPI inflation show some elevation last week. PPI inflation, if we take a look at it, showed up at 0.5 versus 0.3% expected. Year over year, 2.9 versus 2.6. So this is producer or business inflation, wholesale inflation. Core showed up at 0.8 versus 0.3% expected here, chat. So PPI inflation has been showing some heated numbers. Only looser points out spelling errors. I know, man. I'm not trying to be a looser. What I'm trying to say, and maybe I'm biased, because I'll get people. One of the things, it's actually pretty funny, to be honest. You'll get people mad, and they're trying to insult me sometimes here, and so they're like, "You're a loser," but they don't spell loser right. They spell it Looser, and so I can't help but be like, "Hey, you know, you spelled that wrong." And so that's the only real, like, it's not even a pet peeve. Anytime I see somebody spell it wrong, I'm just like, hey, this is the right way. I'm not trying to attack them. I'm really not. And I think if y'all were me, y'all would probably be the same way. So if somebody's trying to call you a loser and they spell it Looser, what's your response? Your response might be to be like, hey, dude, you spelled that wrong. Powell steps down at the end of May, at the very end of May. And one of the things we're seeing less of is we're seeing less Powell speeches. The last few years, some of my biggest streams have been big Powell speeches. We're seeing less of those now. Powell's speaking less. He hasn't spoken at all outside of FOMC meeting in January this year for 2026. He hasn't spoken at all. They haven't even scheduled Powell his semi-annual monetary policy report where he has to give his testimony to Congress. They haven't even scheduled that yet. Usually it's in mid-February. We don't even have it on the docket yet. And he has to do that. That's something he has to do. It has to be done twice a year. Usually it's in February, and then the other one's in like June or July. They haven't even scheduled that one yet. Powell's been speaking less. My guess is it has to do with the subpoena and all that stuff going on. Yeah, again, I think it has to do with the subpoena. I think Powell's like, yo, you're going to sue me. I'm just not going to do any public speaking. You know? Y'all figure it out. All right, so the Ukraine energy minister says the Druzhba oil pipeline was severely damaged as a result of a fire. Japan will be forced to raise rates. Is it time to buy the dip here, though, today, guys? That's what I'm wondering. Is it time to buy the dip? Inflation was 270 in Venezuela last year. I see what you did there, Blaze. Is it the whole reason the new Fed chair is there is to cut rates? Well, kind of, but you have to understand, he is not able to, like, he has more influence than a normal voter, but he is not able to just make whatever decisions he wants, right? It's not like he could step in there and be like, these are my rates now, we're cutting them. Instead, he has to get everybody's, he has to get everybody working together and commit to a path, is basically what it is. And so just because Warsh is stepping in there does not mean they're going to be able to just jump in and low interest rates and everybody's going to celebrate. It's just not that easy. Again, the dollar set for the biggest surge in years as inflation worries, man. If we look at the Dixie today, here's the dollar index. Dollar index is up to almost $100 today. The dollar is on track for its strongest two-day rally in nearly a year because of the Iran conflict spiking energy prices and stoking inflation fears. The Bloomberg dollar spot index jumped 0.8% today. If we take a look at treasury yields right now, treasury yields currently over 4% again. They were under 4% for a few days at least. They're now up to almost 4.1% right now for 10-year treasuries. They are spiking on the Iran conflict. Up to over 4.1 or 4.09% right now, almost a 4.1%. 4.1%. Again, the Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index jumped almost 1% today, pushing Treasury yields to a 3-week high and slashing expected Fed cuts this year to just 37 basis points, down from 60 last Friday. Oil is up to $85 a barrel for Brent, first time since July of 2024. And the dollar index is up. Metals low, crude higher. Grab on lows, that's usually my strategy. Yeah, I'm the captain now. So is it time to short? I assume gold and silver should be a good hedge with war. Yeah, but again, they're down today. So gold and silver are actually falling a little bit this morning. They've been up a lot the last few days, but if you look at a 10-day chart as an example, they spiked and then they dipped. And just understand, like, dollar index and yields have a positive correlation, but it's not a perfect correlation, but the dollar index and yields. All right, so we did have a statement, according to a representative of Khomeini, I probably said that wrong, but Iran is open to talks, but will not compromise on dignity, end quote. Yeah, when yields go up, generally the dollar index is moving up as well. You look at this, right? Like, here's the Dixie. The higher yields are, the more attractive treasuries are to investors, right? Like, higher yields means better returns on bonds, which attracts more demand for the dollar, is really what it is. So the dollar index spikes on that type of thing. So it's one of the reasons you might see yields spike here, as well as the dollar index go up because of that dynamic. But again, it's not a perfect correlation. Invest in oil now. I don't know, brother. I think oil's up a lot. Investing in oil right now, the thesis you would have to come to would be we're going to get more Middle Eastern trouble over the coming weeks, depending on what you consider an investment. Buying oil now, you could speculate, hey, we're going to get worse troubles, more scarcity in oil, worse troubles, worse drama overseas, more conflict news. And if that happens, then oil might spike some more. I think you could really reasonably have made that speculation yesterday. I think yesterday, the president and others were like, hey, worse things are going to come. And so with that, I think a lot of people did buy oil yesterday. And again, you look at WTI, West Texas Intermediate Crude, it is spiking. It's at 76. Now, if you continue to make that type of speculation, like, hey, things in the Middle East are going to continue to get worse, that is going to cause oil to spike because of scarcity and drama. We're up a lot already. A lot of people are thinking oil is going to hit $100 a barrel, though. We'll see. We'll see. But again, oil is up a lot. So, is it my favorite time to buy it when something's up big? I don't know. Yeah, scalping oil, maybe. Yeah, scalping oil, maybe we could scalp oil. Dollar strong Bitcoin. Yeah, oil's up here. Is it time to buy oil, guys? Let me ask the chat. Is it time to buy oil right now? Is it time to buy oil? Yes or no? Let me know in chat. All right, guys. So European Union needs oil. So again, I asked people, is it time to buy oil right now? We got a lot of answers. Ava says no. South says no. BA says no. Dowd says no. Matthew says chat's wrong. Punch says no. Pack says nope. Bunny says trade oil, sure. Hidden says possibly. SmackDown says nope. Vampire says yes. Dave says going to 100. I'm not saying that. Maybe it does. Those are the rumors right now. Keegan says no. Ava says no. Chris says no. FUC says last Friday yes, now no. L says yep. Jen says yes. Lee says no. Doug Muffin says yes. Vampire Lawyer says yes. Nathan says scalp oil. Simply says not buying at the top. Bo says yes. They're wrong. Okay. Pretty split. A lot of people said no, though. Most people said no. Yeah. Again, I think the real question with this is whether we see worse situation brewing in the Middle East. If you think we're going to get a worse situation moving forward over the coming weeks, that might be an argument in terms of buying oil. At the same time, for all the no's out there, I kind of agree with you. I think it's really elevated right now, and it's hard to predict what's going to happen here. It's hard to predict if the worst is done, is really what it is. If you don't think the worst is done regarding the Middle East right now, then maybe you could buy oil, and that's the argument. If you think the big news is out the way and over the coming weeks we're going to see maybe a calming situation, that's a situation where oil might correct to the downside. So, and again, we did a poll earlier this morning that said, will we get rate hikes this year? The fear now is a stagflation fear. I talked about this earlier, but Yellen said, and I know, again, I'm going to take what she says with a grain of salt. She said, I think the recent Iran situation puts the Fed even more on hold, more reluctant to cut rates than they were before this happened. The conflict's impact on oil will bring both a hit to U.S. economic growth and an increase in inflationary pressures, complicating the job for the Federal Reserve. We did see yields spike as well. So yields are up today, almost 4.1% after being under 4% for some time. After, less safe haven aspects here. Again, gold and silver are down. Yeah, so gold and silver are down. Markets are pricing in few rate cuts. Yields are higher. So it's worse for non-yielding metals. On the initial Iran shock, gold and silver both spiked up some, though. Then reversed is, again, a stronger dollar. Rising treasury yields made them more expensive for non-U.S. buyers and less attractive versus interest-bearing assets like bond yields. Silver's seen a sharper flush, though. This probably has to do with how much silver has gone up. Again, silver, bigger speculative build, higher beta. Sharper flush as war premium compresses and positions unwind. So oil just dipped here, though. Look at silver dipping as well. Look at this. So big drop on oil at 8 o'clock today. It is 8 o'clock right now. 8 o'clock scrum might be here. I'm in Microsoft right now. I think I'm still in it. Yeah, I'm still in it. Average price is 387, so we're at 390s. It's a small position, though, for me in Microsoft. I am definitely red on the day in stocks, though. Almost all stocks are red today, though. Most tech stocks are down as well. So we still have AI fears this morning. VIX is all the way up to 25 right now. Hit 27s earlier in pre-market. So if we look at the VIX here, the VIX is elevated on the day, but pulling back some over the last hour or two. Yeah, and I'm showing just kind of choppiness here in the NASDAQ. This is a $25,000 challenge account. We're at the bottom of the range here, though, in this. Wondering if I should buy this lower band here, the NASDAQ. I do see NVIDIA starting to turn here, though, and so I am worried about fractions here. I see some sellers stepping in. Look at oil right now. Oil dipping under $76. It's at $75.60 a barrel here right now. NVIDIA again dipping down to 78.50s or 78s. The NASDAQ itself here. But we are at the bottom of the range, so it's hard to buy anything right here because we are at the bottom of this range right now. 200 exponential could prop it up. We had a pretty steep decline this morning. Here's where the day started in the NASDAQ right here. Day started about right here for Tuesday. If we're looking at the entire session, though, today, it really technically started yesterday, but we were almost at 25,000. Down all the way to 24,560s. I guess the question on the NASDAQ is, does the red continue today, or do we fill some of this gap on the upside? Like, does the red market continue, or do we fill the gap to the upside, at least some? Asia is just a huge panic. Only stocks that are green on my watch list are shorts. Stock market crash incoming. Should have already bought oil at 63s. Yeah, I'm kind of mad. I remember when oil was at $58 a barrel, $59 a barrel, not that long ago. You know, oil had dipped back in April, you know, back in October, back in December, down to $56 a barrel. And I remember at the time I was really considering buying it. And I think I asked the chat, and the chat was like, no, don't buy it. Don't buy oil right there. I'm not blaming the chat. It's definitely y'all's fault. You know. That news, I just saw some news come out. Hold on. Yeah, we had Best Buy and more. I'm kind of blaming the chat in jest. I'm not really blaming the chat. I'm just messing around with you guys. Y'all be alright. Yeah, we had the UK statement. And Qatar Energy is going to stop output of some downstream products, including urea, polymers, methanol, and aluminum. Some of you probably said buy. I believe that. Yeah, I hope she feels better, Pawn. Sorry to hear, bro. I called that out. You can't keep contracts that long. I know. I can only keep them quarterly, which I would have had to sell in March anyway. Maybe I would have hit it in time. Depends on when I bought it. I think I would have, actually. But I'd have to sell within the next 2 weeks. Again, the president just said, have unlimited mid to upper tier weaponry. Brutal stuff. U.S. president. Again, the president just said, quote, we have unlimited mid to upper tier weaponry. Brutal stuff. U.S. president. Yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens here, guys. Yeah, the Dow is down in pretty big amounts, though. Look at the Dow. Dow is down. Dead cat bounce. Is it time to buy right now? Should I do another poll? We have 420 votes. 60% say we will not get rate hikes in 2026. 40% say yes, we will get rate hikes this year. Honestly, that's more rate hike bettors than I expected. That's more people betting on rate hikes than I expected here. Yeah, one thing I might look for on Trade Evade here is we have this tight range. Right, so we have this tight range. If we get a dip underneath this range and then a rebound back to test it, I will short that type of retest here. Is what I'm looking for. But I have to wait for it. I don't want to jump in and just take some risk. I want to wait for that type of thing here. So, we'll see. Is it time to buy the NASDAQ? Is the question. Bullish or bearish on the NASDAQ right now? Is it time to buy the NQ? Let me know. Yeah, I'm not an investment professional, guys. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Remember all the stuff on screen. I might be terrible and have no idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Do not copy me. Some links or affiliate links. You know, not an investment professional. No, don't buy. Nah. Buy intraday, short overnight. Bullish, I bought 47 TQQQ. NASDAQ, let's pull back first, please. Oil gets down to 75, maybe. But it's so elevated on the day. Yeah, still pretty elevated on the day. I'm nibbling, waiting for the VIX at 35s. The VIX at 35, yeah, the NASDAQ would have to drop pretty significantly. Here's a yearly chart, though. So, I mean, this dip in the NASDAQ, a 10% drop once a year in the NQ is not uncommon. So, a lot of the time we get a small correction once a year. And so, again, we're in 2026. We've dropped from 50,000 in the Dow down to 48K. Not a huge percentage yet. We look at the NASDAQ. Kind of the same thing. Although the NASDAQ dip might be a little higher. 26.4s down to 24.5s. Not quite 10%. I'm going to risk my life savings based on exactly what I say or what you say. Don't do it. Don't do it. You know what's green on the day, though? Target. Look at Target. All the stocks people hate, I get tempted to buy up. I bought Target. My average price at Target is 86.50s, actually. That means I got into Target. Literally. Hey, this is my entry. 86.5. It's $86.49 is my average price. That means I got into Target. Right around here. It might be the greatest entry of all time. 86.49 average price in Target. Up to 118s right now. What are your thoughts on the market right now? Why is Verizon mooned? Verizon VZ. I don't know. It's up a cool 25% though, since February. I don't know. I don't like it personally. I don't like it just because I think there's risks regarding technology evolution long term. But maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong for sure. I said I didn't like it before it went up 25%. So there's a difference between shorting something though and just saying you don't like it. I just think there's too much risk. in something like this. Phone carriers lose margins lately. You know, you got streaming, you have pay-as-you-go phone plans with unlimited data, no contract phone plans with unlimited data. And so because of that, even if some of these businesses survive, I think their margins are going to get worse. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Verizon adapts and evolves. It's possible. Yeah, Best Buy had earnings today. They are up to almost $69 a share. Hit 71s earlier. Best Buy popping up. So haven't shopped at Target in years. My wife shops at Target sometimes. Target's okay as long as you don't go there on the weekend. On the weekend, it's kind of hectic. Same thing with Costco. I don't like going there on the weekend. It's too hectic. Too many people there. Too busy. Overstimulating. Like, I just don't like it. Shell CEO is committed to invest BRL 3.5 million in Raisin Brazil. Hey, Just Joy, can you give me a short update on what's going on? Yes, so Middle Eastern fears. All right. Where is this? Back. Yeah, so basically, I had a giveaway guy I had to help. So, essentially what's going on is that we continue to get news of strikes. The war in the Middle East is intensifying. And now there's worries about stagflation environment because of the premiums in oil prices. You can see oil prices here at $76 a barrel. They are hyper elevated over the last few days in markets. Here's Monday and Tuesday in oil right here. So this is Monday and Tuesday in oil. Oil has spiked up dramatically. The dollar index has also been spiking up. There's more worries about less rate cuts this year from all this stuff going on, right? So there's more worries about less rate cuts. Yields have spiked up. And remember, yields and interest rates follow each other. And so yields have spiked up on those worries of less rate cuts from everything going on. Potentially less stimulus. Stocks are down. Mag 7 stocks are down. Nvidia down. Meta down. Microsoft down. Google down. Amazon, Apple, all down today. Most tech is down. Most stocks in general are down, to be honest. The dollar index specifically, so the dollar is a little bit stronger. It's up to almost $100 here. So the dollar index stronger. When yields are higher, more people gravitate towards the dollar. And so that's what's going on. Fear in the Middle East is essentially what's going on today. Again, oil is up a large amount. Here's oil. $76 a barrel. So oil is really elevated on the day. And yeah, this is heading into the end of this week where we have the official government labor report, NFP report, non-farm payrolls unemployment drop on Friday. So oil, dollar index, yields, all higher. Gold, silver, down. Some. They're down some. I mean, they've given back some of their gains. They're basically back. Gold is basically back to where it was late February. Silver has seen a little bit larger of a correction down to $82, but the swings in silver have been more profound. Silver was at 97s the day before yesterday on Sunday. Again, the dollar index is up because the Iran war has triggered a classic stronger dollar. A mix of safe haven flows into the dollar, higher oil feeding inflation worries, and traders pushing out Fed cut timing. Yields jumping. Euro and yen are notably weaker versus the dollar. Some of the dollar index move is dollar up by default. So again, the dollar index is up because of war plus higher oil means fewer Fed cuts, potentially higher yields. What's the natural gas symbol in futures? Is it NG? I think it's NG, right? Yeah, NG futures. NG, natural gas spiking up as well at 3.1. 3.1 versus closed at about 298. Spiked yesterday as well for natural gas futures on the left side here. This is natural gas futures. All the cuts are baked into the market. Yeah, well, I think we might see less cuts this year because of all the stuff going on. So I do think we see that potentially. We are doomed. Crazy scenes unfolding. Yeah. Yeah, probably true. The Strait of Hormuz is closed as well. They're threatening more stuff as well from that. So the Strait of Hormuz, we got news earlier today. The president came out with some tweets as well. So the president tweeted, we had news from Iran. Most issuers are expected to hold off on raising fresh capital in the primary market for the second consecutive day as the war in Iran shows no signs of de-escalation, according to Bloomberg, citing an informal poll of syndicate underwriters. Iran is open to talks but will not compromise on dignity, according to the representative, is what we saw. So now they're open to talks. The president tweeted earlier today, tweeted a couple different things. He said their air defense, air force, navy, and leadership is gone. They want to talk. I said too late, end quote, U.S. president. He also said, have unlimited mid to upper tier weaponry, brutal stuff. Wall Street Journal story was wrong and a disgrace. President DJT, end quote. So we got that going on. More tensions. Natty gas up. Oil up. Dollar index up. Yields up. Gold and silver down. NASDAQ down. Should have shorted 24,600s right here. I think that looked like a decent short. I think oil will go higher. Yeah, I asked people earlier what they thought oil was going to do. A lot of people said oil might go higher. A lot of people actually said that. A lot of people said it's not time to buy it either, though. So we had a good bit of both in terms of yes, buy oil, or no, don't buy oil. So we had a good amount of both. Greater than not chance of cuts pushed out to July. Now, yeah, if we look at rate cut odds, this is something that has swung. We do see yields being higher today. We do see yields being higher. But if we look at rate cut odds for March, especially with everything going on, are only at under 2.5%. Under 2.5% rate cut odds for March. So, yeah. But if we take a look here, originally it was July is when it pivoted. Now, even in July, they're betting on no rate cuts. So now, even in July, they're betting on no cuts. So we will see here, guys. We will see. It looks like we're not going to get a rate cut now, according to bets, until September. So September is now when it looks the most likely that we cut rates. 43.4% chance that we'll get a 25 basis point cut by September is what it is, by September. Figure tank up. I'm excited for the correction. I own no stock. If they can help it, U.S. other countries will try to keep the price down. Yeah, again, we'll see, guys. We'll see. It's a little bit mixed here, to be honest. $100 to $110 a barrel prediction seems high. Well, it depends on what we're talking about here. So usually when I look at something, I look at CL futures, which is WTI, West Texas Intermediate crude. If we're talking about Brent crude, it's at $80 plus a barrel. So if we're talking about Brent, it's up to almost $83 a barrel right now. So it depends on which oil we're talking about. Brent has a higher chance of breaking $100 versus WTI crude. Here's WTI, West Texas Intermediate, and it's at 76.40s a barrel. It just depends. Again, it depends on if we get more drama in the Middle East, to be honest. So I think yesterday there might have been some good oil trades just because of the predictions that we saw by a couple different, like the president said it, a couple other people said it, that the strikes were going to get worse, and then they did, and now oil is up to, again, $76 a barrel. So I don't know if we're going to have that dynamic now. Do you think troubles are going to get worse in the Middle East? I guess is a good question. Will the Middle Eastern situation get worse? Will the Iran situation get worse? Chat, yes or no? Because that's what's going to influence oil to the upside or downside. If it doesn't get worse, we might see stabilization, lower oil. If it does get worse and there's more drama, and this, specifically if this conflict drags on longer than expected, that's a situation where we might see oil continue to rise. Yes, yes, yes. Put a poll. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Almost everybody thinks the situation is going to get worse. I believe he will intensify strikes. Yes. Seems like it. Korean stock market is down 7% today. Yeah, I have a Korean friend. He recently had to go back to Korea, but he always kind of gives me some updates on the Korean market. Yesterday, people would have said no. Today, yes. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Iran's ambassador to the UN says it's not acceptable that the land of neighbors is being used to facilitate aggression against Iran. Kind of trending down here. So again, the NASDAQ is right here at the 200 exponential. The SPY, here's the NQ. Both of them are right at the 200 EMA here. See if this breakdown continues though. Target hit. Target, let's go. Once the zero runs out, interceptors. A few more days, then we'll be talks again. I think so as well. UK's OBR says we judge that GDP growth weakness is cyclical, so relative to November, there's more spare capacity in the economy. Global stock markets post largest declines in months as Brent oil prices surge over $85 a barrel, and Trump says the U.S. can fight forever. South Korea, again, down 8%. Somebody mentioned this in chat. Japan is down 6%. South Africa is down 6%. Germany down 5%. Spain down 5%. Italy down 4%. UK down 4%. France 3%. NASDAQ down 2%. And China down 2%. So they're pricing in longer conflict news is really what the news is. That's the news I get. How long will this conflict last? How long? We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm looking at Apex. Remember, Apex has got a crazy good sale going on right now. 85% off, I believe. They got rid of trailing drawdowns intraday. I'm in my Apex account right now. I'll show you guys some of this. But if you want to try to pass one of these accounts quickly, Apex is great because you can pass it in one day. One day, one good trade, you know, you can pass it. They have a 50% consistency rules once you're funded. But no more 5-to-1 risk reward. No more payout denials. They have an end-of-day drawdown option, built-in scaling, and more. And again, right now you get 85% off. Use promo code BG. BG. I'll put the Apex link up. Again, a great way to help support the channel here, chat. Great way to help support the channel. And most day traders lose money. So if you fund your own account thousands of dollars trying to look cool, you're probably going to lose. Most day traders lose. It makes no sense to do so. These Apex accounts are cheap right now as well. The 25K one after the discount's like 27 bucks. 27 bucks, less than $30. Very cheap right now. If you want to check it out, here's the link. You just got to use max, the BG for the max discount. Let me pin this to the top of the page. We're still shorting here. Like, I'll try to put the window capture thing up. I'm kind of bad with this. No, I don't want... Where is Trade Evade right now? Oh, Trade Evade's on the screen. Alright. Oh. So we're still green in this, guys. We're riding this breakdown in the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is starting to break down here. There we go. That's better. Here, let me fix this. We are green in this trade, but we only have a very small piece of this trade left. I'll put a larger window up so you can see my P&L here. Look. There you go. Kind of flat right here on the trade. There's a window at the bottom. I might take some more size here. We already have $520 in profit built up, so we'll take 10 contracts here, see if we reject quickly. There we go. There we go. Take half off there onto the pullback. Yeah, but I think the way you have to look at some of these prop firms is that, is it better to fund your account 5, 10, 20, 30 grand and lose that? Or try this for 30 bucks and fail, and you know, you might have to try it a couple times before you get funded, but it's still probably going to be net less. The risk is going to be less, and it's just a better way to learn. Trading, day trading is about learning to trade under pressure. So there we go. There's the breakdown we wanted here. I will cut more of this off. NASDAQ still flushing down. 2 contracts left. Look at this flush here, chat. So let's see if we got some news. Oil production has been fully suspended at the Rumaila oil field, Iraq's largest and the world's second largest oil field, local sources say. Take some more off here. I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to take a deeper look at what's going on. NASDAQ dipping under the 200 exponential here. Under the 200 exponential, 24.5s is right here. Let's see if that holds. Oil starting to head back higher. Bowman says liquidity framework doesn't include enough bank stress. World's third largest shipping company, CMA CGM, suspends all Middle East bookings amid U.S. war with Iran. Gold is still dipping down some, though. Look at gold. So gold rejected this 52.40 level. China opposes military strikes against Iran. For the time being, we are very doubtful about the usefulness of negotiations with the United States, said Iran's ambassador to the UN in Geneva. China's foreign minister calls for immediate cease of military action. Hey, bud. Don't step on those. All right, bro. Love you, bud. No, China came out basically criticizing the U.S. strikes. NASDAQ just flushed down, though. Here, look at the NASDAQ down to 24.5s. Oil's probably going to be pushing up on this, right? A little bit. It's over the 200 exponential. NASDAQ continues to fall down. Look at the NASDAQ dip here. NASDAQ down to 24.480s. NVIDIA sliding under the 200 exponential and 200, or the 200 exponential and the volume weighted average price, but it started to bounce back higher. Bowman didn't really speak on monetary policy, but we still have breaking news come out. Bowman on liquidity resilience, financial stability, and the role of the Fed. So the U.S. Embassy is warning of imminent attack in Saudi city. The U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia has warned of an imminent missile and drone attack on the oil-rich eastern Saudi city of Dhahran. Do not come to the U.S. consulate in Dhahran. The embassy advised take cover immediately in your residence. But the news recently is that China has officially posed the U.S. and Israeli military action in Iran. So this is news that just dropped. We'll put this up on screen. But China has officially opposed U.S. and Israeli military action in Iran. I think this actually dropped the NASDAQ some here on some worries. But the NASDAQ sitting at 24.5s here, 24.5s. All right, guys. So, a little bit slower here, but NASDAQ still testing this 24.480s level. Here's a question for the chat right now. How long does this conflict last? We do see a statement that says spiking energy prices could force Trump to end the Iran conflict. How long does this conflict last, chat? Did I do a poll? $5 years, 1 month, July, 3 months. Because this is the real question if you're looking at betting on markets right now. The real question if you're looking at betting on markets, whichever kind of bet you're doing, whether you're buying shares, futures, oil, prediction markets, that's the real base question of everything, is how long does this conflict last? The longer this conflict gets drawn out, the more scarce oil will be. Oil prices will go up the longer this conflict lasts. More uncertainty, obviously, the longer it lasts. More potential trickling into rate cut influence, rate influences, inflation worries with oil prices spiking. And so the real base question you have to ask yourself, I think, is how long does this conflict last? That's the reality of this, is how long does this last? If this is short-lived or lived, as Powell likes to say, maybe we see some easing in pressure. If this drags on, we might see continued fear, continued nervousness, continued pullbacks, continued weakness. So just be careful. Too long? Yeah, that's probably true. 2 weeks, months. Yeah, we see an array of different predictions here. Some saying July, 5 years, 3 years. So, we'll see. Catch that money? Yeah. No one is going to be able to give a precise timeline unless you got insider information. Public signals point to at least a multi-week conflict as the base case. The economic and market damage rising non-linearly, though, the longer it drags on. The president has openly said the campaign against Iran could last, in his mind, again, 4 to 5 weeks is what he says, while adding that the U.S. is prepared to go longer and essentially said they can go long indefinitely forever. It does match, the 4 to 5 week timeline does match what military and policy analysts are modeling. And so I think when you look at this, you have to look at the 1 month or so base case. Like, this might last about a month base case. Now, if we get news from everything going on right now that pushes that back, expect surges in oil prices, expect the markets to maybe not like it, expect yields to go higher here the longer this drags on. So we have some other shops like Oxford Economics and others framing it as a larger and more intense than 12-day war in 2025 and see a likely range of roughly 1 to 3 weeks. So yeah, again, if it's short though, so if for whatever reason this does not last long, if shipping disruptions are brief and infrastructure damage in oil is limited, you could see oil correct back to the downside some. Central banks are mostly looking through it as a one-off shock, so the rate cut path is delayed at the margin but not fundamentally rewritten. Depends on how long it lasts, though. If there's news of de-escalation, if it lasts longer than 4 weeks, you might see more oil prices increasing, inflation and growth worries increasing, more influence over Fed and rates, and more rotation out of risk assets like equities and more. So that's the easiest way to look at it. Right now, base case is about 1 to 5 weeks. One to 5 week base case. Is the market down because of China? Not necessarily. This drop could have been from China coming out critical of the U.S. in Iran. That could cause the drop. Oil spiked a little bit too, but I think we're just consolidating now after all the stuff going on. Iran's ambassador to the UN in Geneva says the only language for talking with the U.S. is language of defense. It is not time for negotiation. Again, this is Iran's ambassador to the UN in Geneva. We get up to the 200 exponential, maybe I'll short here, maybe. But we'll see. The office building of Iran's Council of Experts was attacked according to Iranian press. Bitcoin, again, taking a look at Bitcoin here, it has been dipping most of the morning. So Bitcoin is down to 67,000. 67,000. Popped over, touching 68,000, was over 68 earlier on the day. But Bitcoin pushed up a lot yesterday, retraced some today, and now it's kind of neutral versus where it was yesterday. But Bitcoin is a little boring, although it's making big swings up and down. Stop missile production and uranium enrichment will require boots on the ground. That's probably true. Probably true. Everything's being fooled by reverse repo bailout. Yeah, let's take a look at some of my indicators here, guys. I have been building some pretty good indicators. There's only one I'll share with you guys. If you use my coupon code on Take Profit or Apex, really, and you buy more than 10 accounts, or you use it more than 10 times, you get my my orb indicator, which is pretty useful. I've been back testing this. I'm gonna have a video coming out pretty soon, probably on Thursday or Friday, regarding this. But the orb that I find works the best here is a 10-minute opening range breakout. If I pull a 10-minute chart up, let me figure this out. Hold on. What's the 5-minute chart? Yeah, if I pull a 5-minute, a 10-minute orb, I have it set to. There we go. The one I find that works the best is the 10-minute opening range breakout here. This is the 10-minute one. If I set it to a 10-minute orb, this one works. This one works. This one works. This one works. This one probably worked. I don't know what that one is. This one worked. It's not perfect. This one worked too, although you can't really see it. Something about the code, but look, there's the orb. It shows you where the opening range is. This one works. This one didn't. But you can see how effective the opening range breakout is. Look at that one. That one worked. That one worked. This one failed. But you can see, look at that one. That one worked beautifully here. That one worked beautifully as well. So, yeah, I got a video back testing that coming out pretty soon, probably on Thursday. Get ready for real big happening soon. Yeah, we'll see. So much of the world's infrastructure runs on Amazon Web. Yeah, they are. Heading into the opening bell, guys. We got 45 minutes. Opening bell. China has officially opposed U.S. military action in Iran. 51% of Gen Z have said their college degree is a waste of money per Indeed. Realtors say there's a new housing crisis per The Independent. Goldman Sachs says the June rate cut is still the base case. I don't know right now. I know Powell steps down in May and then June is the next meeting after May. But I don't know if it's the base case at this point. I would say maybe July is the base case at this point. We'll see what happens in this FOMC meeting that we have in a couple weeks. But I would say July is probably looking like the base case, just looking at PPI inflation data. A senior Israeli official says it is estimated that Saudi Arabia will attack Iran soon after they were attacked yesterday. Hey, thank you, Blaze. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you, sir. Gonna be a real red day today. No rescue. All right, it's time to do a poll here. I think I've done enough polls. It's time to do another one. We asked the chat. We have over 700 votes. Will we get a rate hike this year in 2026? 57% say no. 57% say no. I kind of agree with the 57% in terms of will we get a rate hike this year. I hope we, at least I hope we don't. I hope we don't start raising rates this year. But again, if it's CPI inflation shows up elevated this year and we start to see spikes, I would say over 3.5% for consumer prices. Over 4%. We start to see some negative trends there in terms of inflation spiking. Maybe I'd be on board with a rate hike. It just depends. Rates are still pretty high, though. Yeah, I think STEM is where it's at, although we're not perfect STEM. Like, I think software is less useful of a degree now in the age of AI. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Blaze. Thank you, brother. Are you pro rate cuts or pro rate hikes, guys? I'm going to do another poll here. Let's do another one. When does the Fed cut rates? When does the Fed FOMC cut rates? June? July? Or no, wait. Don't we skip one? Hold on, let me see. June, July, September? Or October plus? That's going to be the poll right now. Again, at this point, it's looking like September is when we're going to get our first 25 basis point cut. There's a 43.4% chance that we'll get a 25 basis point cut by December. In terms of just rate cuts, it's still the majority outcome is looking like September, but this did recently pivot. This was at June a couple months ago. Engineering's probably pretty safe still in terms of degrees. I think it pivots back and forth though, depending on the nature of technology. Yeah, I'm looking at T-bill. I am in T-bill right now. How much do I have? I got about 1,000. There's less than 50% hold in July, though. Hold is the largest. Iran conflict doesn't have enough munitions to sustain. Yeah, that is the big question, is how long does this conflict last? That's the real question here. On whatever asset you're trading right now, whatever you're interested in buying or selling, the big question in modern markets is how long does this conflict last? If it gets dragged on, oil might surge, equities might continue to fall, inflation worries might increase, yields might increase. If it is short-lived and we start to see some contractions and de-escalations and tension, then oil might correct back down to the downside, equities might rebound faster, yields might go down, interest rate sentiment might get better depending on what inflation shows up as. So that's the big question. It really is. That's the very large question that we have. We did the poll. 35% expect that we're going to see cuts by June. I don't know. I think that's early. Although it could obviously change. Yeah, I said short-lived like Powell. You know, the British sometimes pronounce things differently than us Americans. Aluminium? Maybe it's the British way of saying it. Cheers to my Brits here. Again, my last name's London. So you should support me as well. Because, you know, cheers to London. London. Fed's going to do nothing this year, I think. Yeah, that might be true. I am going to throw it in sub-only mode. So everybody subscribe if you haven't yet. We appreciate it. And we'll see what happens today. U.S. is running low on high-end weapons. I think right now, we went over this earlier. Right now, the base case is 1 to 6 weeks. 1 to 5 weeks is the base case for how long this conflict lasts. If it lasts shorter than a week or two, then we might see some rebounds in stocks. We might see some corrections in oil. Dollar index might come down a little bit. If we see extended conflicts, or conflict is extended longer than expected, again, longer than that 1 to 5 week base case, we might see oil continue to rise. There's speculations that oil might bounce to $100 plus a barrel, depending on which oil we're talking about here. We might see continued corrections in equities, continued spikes in oil, continued spikes in yields if this thing drags on longer than expected because of potential worries about oil-driven inflation. Oil at $76 a barrel for West Texas Intermediate right now. NASDAQ is red on the day with all the other Mag 7 as well. So yeah, I've done a DNA test. My results are always pretty interesting. The last time I did it, it said I was 60% British, 30% French. It said I was 60% British and Irish, 30% French. It had a bunch of other small percentages too. I was like 4% African. There's just a bunch of different stuff. You gotta wonder how accurate those things are, though. You really have to wonder how accurate those things are, because it said I had some Mongolian in me as well. You know? Uncertainty about his term? I don't like tea, bro. I should be drinking tea, but I don't. Even if I did drink tea, it would be sweet tea. I'm from Louisiana, brother. So it wouldn't be y'all's tea anyway. You look Irish? NASDAQ at 24.5 here. Look at this 24.5 level. We're going to watch this, see if it rejects. All right, guys. 5 minutes left until the top of the hour. 9 o'clock. Iraq has decreased oil production from the Rumaila oil field by 700,000 barrels per day on Tuesday, according to the Iraqi oil officials. So again, Iraq has decreased oil production from the Rumaila, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, oil field by 700,000 BPD on Tuesday, according to Iraqi oil officials. Redbook showed up at 7% year over year as well. Interesting here. So 37% of votes so far on the FOMC cuts think June. 30%. 37% think June. Reduction in oil production from Iraqis Rumaila due to overload storages as tensions in the Strait of Hormuz slows arrivals of tankers. And we did get news earlier, chat, regarding the Strait of Hormuz. We got a couple different things. The Strait of Hormuz risks are there. Iranian commanders are threatening to set ablaze vessels with claims the strait is closed. West Texas Intermediate up 7% after an 8% jump yesterday. So energy and defense are relative winners. Exxon, refiners, Lockheed Martin, defense, while the street is debating how long this lasts. Again, Janet Yellen and others are openly saying the Iran conflict could both slow growth and lift inflation, complicating the Fed's job. The president is selling the line that inflation is tamed, but a lot of people are worried now about oil-driven price pressures, especially with the hot PPI inflation data we got last Friday. So Yellen said, I think the recent Iran situation puts the Fed even more on hold, more reluctant to cut rates than they were before this happened. Both a hit to U.S. economic growth and an increase in inflationary pressures complicating the job of the Federal Reserve. Inflation is about 1 percentage point above the 2% target and roughly half a percentage point at the current 3% is due to the president's tariffs. If the Strait of Hormuz stays closed more than a few days, oil prices could remain elevated or go higher. She warned the Fed has to avoid markets thinking it's comfortable with 3% inflation or they're worried about inflation remaining persistently higher, making policy trade-offs worse and keeping the Fed on hold longer. At the same time, though, chat, I don't think we're going to get rate hikes this year. I don't think we're going to get rate hikes this year. Equities always run after the midterms. I like that one, Blaze. Remember the name, Blaze? Our low gas price is over here. If you hike, you collapse the manufacturing side. Yeah, listen, I grew up in the early 2000s, my friend. I understand that quote. Just put it in perspective. Blaze said, I sent my DNA in and they told me I'm 10% luck, 20% skill, and 15% concentrated power of will. Those that get it. You know, y'all youngsters might not understand it. That's okay. France's President Macron is going to address the French people tonight at 8 p.m. local time about the situation in the Middle East as well. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says stablecoins paying yields should be regulated like banks. If you're going to be holding balances and paying interest, that's a bank. You should be regulated like a bank. So, basically, bank CEO criticizes bank competitors, is what it is. Iraqi oil officials again says export disruptions from the Hormuz Strait slow down push storage to critical levels in Iraq's southern ports. The area close to Iran's assembly of experts tasked to choose a leader in Tehran was hit, according to witnesses. Saylor is now saying STRC now goes to 11.5% dividends. STRC. It's supposed to stay around 100. And it does. But it swings back about 10%. With Bitcoin, here's Bitcoin futures right now. Sitting at 67 still. Oil's kind of sideways now, though. Here's the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's getting close enough to these lows where I'm kind of interested in shorting still. I kind of want to short this. I might start small here, though. We're going to start with 3 contracts right here. It's very small. Maybe we'll add to it if we go green, but only if. Is that Linkin Park, dude? I didn't even realize it was Linkin Park. Linkin Park was like my band growing up. I loved Linkin Park. The first couple albums, at least. The big albums. Hybrid Theory, definitely. Meteor is good, too. Alright, so we're green here. Let's see if this drop continues. We're going to add to this now. Now that we're green. 6 micros. What's up, Gia? All right, so far so good here. I want to let this ride, but you got to be careful. Do I want to add to this? I think so. We're going to add 9 contracts. There we go. We're going to take half of that off immediately right there just because we dropped so much so quickly. See if the drop continues. Probably cut the rest of this close to break even here if it doesn't swipe down like we want. Again, Iraq oil officials say they also shut down production of 460,000 barrels per day from West Kurna 2. All right, so we're back to flat. I'll give it a second, but we start to spike over this. I'm going to cut it. We're out. So really nice green trade again here, though. We got out before the spike happened. Look at oil jump here. So oil just jumped up the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Nasdaq's really sideways and choppy here, though. No more oils. Well, I'm watching oil. I think everybody's watching oil today, right? Everybody's kind of paying attention to oil. Bitcoin back over 67s. Look at oil, though, here. Guys, so look at oil jump. Oil is now jumping up to 76. Let me check breaking news here. It could be that news about the barrel per day thing. Building of Iran's Assembly of Experts flattened by air attack in the city of QOM south of Tehran, according to Iranian news agencies. That's the news that just dropped over the last minute here. NVIDIA CEO Jensen and global tech leaders are going to showcase the age of AI at GTC 2026. Iraq also shut down production of 460,000 barrels per day from West Kurna 2, Iraqi oil officials tell Reuters. This could be driving oil higher. Export disruptions for the Hormuz Strait slow down push storage to critical levels in Iraq's southern ports. $77 for oil now. $77 a barrel for West Texas Intermediate crude oil. I'm not shorting oil. Did y'all think I was shorting oil, or was somebody else in the chat saying they're shorting oil? I was shorting the NASDAQ, which is going to go down, you know, not perfect correlation, but it's going to go down as oil rises, probably. It's never like a 100% easy correlation, though. How did China oppose? They came out with a statement earlier that said they opposed it, basically. Iraq has shut down oil production at Rumaila, the world's second largest oil field, produces 1.5 million barrels per day amid escalating military activity. Yeah, I'm not shorting oil here, guys. That's not what I'm doing. If you see me short, look, this is the NASDAQ here. I'm shorting the micro NASDAQ right here. This is not oil. I'm not going to short oil right now. Too unstable. Are you the correlation expert now? Dude, I'm definitely not an expert. I don't even know what an expert is. I'm definitely not one. Not professional investment advice, that's for sure. I mean, I know that my favorite correlations and the easiest correlations to understand broad markets are bonds. Like yields and bond prices inverse. Bond prices go up, supply and demand, yields go down. So bond prices, if you look at TLT, they are down today. And if you look at yields, yields are doing the opposite. Yields are going up. So yields are going up as bond prices today are going down. That's one correlation to understand. The other correlation is that yields and interest rates follow each other. So interest rate sentiment, I should say. So as yields spike, that means we have higher interest rate sentiment. This is probably from worse inflation fears from the Middle Eastern drama going on right now, pushing yields higher. So the Middle Eastern drama pushing oil prices higher, causing more inflation worries, causing people to essentially expect less rate cuts this year. So you see higher interest rate sentiment because of more trouble with inflation from oil and Middle East drama. So what do you see? You see yields go up. Again, that means bond prices are going down today. Again, if you look at TLT, they're dropping. You can also see somewhat of a correlation with the dollar index. Dollar index rising because yields are rising because their dollar index and yields are rising. Higher yields, more attractive. People use the dollar for it. Benefits the dollar in general. Buy oil, hold for 2 days. What's up, Faye? It's going up like an escalator. Wasn't Buffett buying oil last year? Yeah, when I say choppy, what I'm really referring to is the last 30 or 45 minutes. We zoom in here on this, on the NASDAQ. Here's the NASDAQ. It's very sideways over the last 30, 45 minutes. So we haven't really done anything top. Like, this is the range, last 30, 45 minutes. We're down pretty significantly in everything, though, on the NASDAQ on the day. Almost everything I'm looking at is down. Oil is spiking higher. Meta's down. Microsoft's down. Nvidia's down. Alphabet's down. Amazon's down. Apple's down. Most software stocks are down, although Apple's doing a little bit better than some. Apple came out with news not that long ago regarding Nvidia. Wedbush raises the price target to 300 just now. Actually, hold on. Not really moving at all. The Dubai financial market is going to resume trading effective tomorrow, March 4th. Apple Incorporated says Studio Display with tilt adjusted stand starts at 1500. They also had news about an iPhone update. The Apple 16-inch MacBook Pro with M5 Max starts at $38.99 in the US and $35.99 for education. So they unveiled a new MacBook Pro Air powered by M5 chips. So Apple's spiking up a little bit on this, but everything else is basically down. Here's Apple up to 263. Oil still pushing up. NASDAQ still kind of short bias on the NASDAQ, although we're 20 minutes into the opening bell, and I think we could go either way. Dow looks worse. Yeah, the Dow is down pretty significantly as well. We take a look at the Dow here. Dow's down to 48,000. This was at over 50 not that long ago. So a couple weeks ago, Dow was at 5060 or 50,600 plus. Now at 48. So the Dow is dipping heavily too. Dow's dropping pretty much faster than the NASDAQ. And look at oil spike here. So the oil is getting very close to the highs. Here's oil highs at 77.580 for West Texas Intermediate futures. The Dow is consistently dropping here this morning, though. NASDAQ is starting to fade down. My sentiment is bearish, although I do think at the opening bell, we could pivot the other way. Here's getting greedy. Bullish or bearish for the opening bell, guys? We asked people, when does the FOMC cut rates? 41% say June, 20% say September, 23% say October, plus 16% say July. Revenge trading was not the best plan today. I'm sorry, Femi. Sorry, Fender. Flash drop at the open. I think we could get either one. I think yesterday we saw some interesting movement, but oil's about to break highs of the day. At least WTI crude is up to 77.38. High of the day is 77.58. So we're very close here to the high in oil. The oil price is getting very close to the high of the day on the tensions with Iran. Bearish for the open. Bear. Big risk off day. There's not going to be a big bounce like yesterday. A red open. See, everybody's betting on a red open. It almost makes me want to... It depends. I'm not going to say I'm going to go long. Too many people waited to one side can push us to the other side. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. We'll see what we get. We're already down a lot into the open, but oil is spiking up to 77.40s here. Standing by at the open. Flash drop is needed for long entries. Bull predicting a drop around 24.4s and then a run back up. Oil supply disruptions about to get spicy. Spicier than they already have. Trump says U.S. munition stockpiles are at record highs. President Trump declared that Americans' medium and upper medium grade weapon stockpiles have, quote, never been higher or better and are virtually unlimited, allowing the U.S. to fight wars forever successfully. He noted high-end supplies are solid but not ideal with extra reserves stored abroad. Market's a little sketchy here. Do y'all not like the song? You want me to turn it down? I'm not even handpicking these songs. I'm just kind of putting them on a playlist. I don't mind the bass beat of this song. The whole blah, you know, that kind of throws it off, I think. It's all right. Yeah. Rumors of other states going to war, yeah. I'll go back to what I said earlier, chat, which is how long everything lasts is going to be the crucial aspect of everything. That's a great quote. How long everything lasts is going to be the crucial aspect of everything. But how long this conflict lasts is going to be the big question regarding what assets do. The longer it lasts, oil just popped over highs for a second here, 77.65. Base case right now is 1 to 5 weeks. If it drags on longer than that, expect oil to potentially continue rising. NASDAQ might continue falling. Yields might continue to go higher on more inflation, oil-driven inflation worries. If we get a de-escalation of any sort versus where we are now, the opposite could happen. So Dow is really what's looking weak here. NASDAQ is doing okay. Look at this rebound here, though. So rebound up to 24.5s in the NASDAQ. I'll have to zoom in a little bit closer for this pop, but oil, 77.70s a barrel for West Texas Intermediate futures. 77.70s now. New highs of the day for oil. So oil still pushing up. What's up, Bruce? Conflict will be over in a month tops. You're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby, yeah. Yeah. Iraq cuts West Kurna 2 oil production by 450,000 barrels a day. Gas prices jumping to 311 as oil surges. China came out officially critical of the conflict. Amazon is exploring offering technology to help other apps and sites sell its ads and AI chatbots, according to the information. What's going to crash? This is going to crash. What is? Oil? The dollar? The NASDAQ? The S&P? The Dow? What's going to crash? Oil just popped up to almost $78 a barrel for, again, WTI, West Texas Intermediate crude. NASDAQ starting to test the recent lows. The low of the day is at 24,370s. but NASDAQ's starting to test some of these lows here. Everything. Donald Trump continues to make bad decisions. OPEC says they will increase production problems. If they cannot move it, they will decrease production. Everything can't crash. When some things move down, other things move up. So, if the NASDAQ crashes, oil prices are probably going to spike. Dollar cost average. All right, chat. 12 minutes left until the market opens. Will we see a big correction at the opening bell is the question. I really don't know. I don't know if we get a big correction at the open. Bunch protection team. It's definitely a spicy open, I think. So Fatih Birol says, given the events in the Middle East and the energy security implications, I convened an extraordinary meeting of IEA member governments today to discuss the oil and gas market situation and options to respond to disruptions. Thank you to participants for the constructive dialogue. The Bureau convened an extraordinary meeting of the IEA member governments today to discuss oil and gas situation. NASDAQ retesting 24.5s here ahead of the opening bell. Oil still pretty close to highs of the day for West Texas Intermediate crude. If John crashes, we all crash. I'm bullish in myself, though, I think, right? I think I should be bullish in myself. Or EVs, correlation to AI, silver. Silver's seen some big swings too. But one of the things that's shocking a lot of people this morning is that silver and gold are down substantially, even with more uncertainty going on. Silver especially has been really volatile. Hit 78 earlier today per ounce. It was at 90 plus a few days ago. A couple weeks before that, it was at 120s here. So silver has been making some swings. Gold is down today as well, but gold's only at 5200s, 5150s. So gold pulling back less from its highs. Silver's making swings though on the downside. Trading during a conflict, does that qualify me as an advanced beginner yet? Of course, yeah. I mean, definitely top 3 advanced people out there. Yeah, my portfolio's looking red today. How about y'all's? Is y'all's portfolio in longer investments green or red? Mine's red. Unless you're super bullish in oil or the dollar, you're probably going to be red as well. PayPal red, Oracle red, Nike red, Netflix red, Microsoft red, Coca-Cola red, Home Depot red, Disney red, Amazon red, Apple red. Target's green though. Target had good earnings. Although it's not up that much. Red, red, green, red, red. I'm still green, slightly green. You're in defense? Okay, yeah. I'm in the European Union. I don't want to look at my portfolio. I get it. Almost everything is red. Tesla, I'm up like 100% though. Long term is red thanks to Microsoft and Lyft. Yeah, I got it Microsoft at 387s, I think, so we're still green on those. Coca-Cola's done me really well. Coca-Cola's almost at $80 a share. I got in at 66. Target, again, I'm in at 86.50. That 115s right now. Target's looking good. I watch you for entertainment and let Fidelity manage my retirement. I'm too scared. I do learn a ton here, though. Honestly, it's not a bad move, I would say. It depends on... It's not a bad move to let money managers manage. I've said it once, I'll say it again. The real problem a lot of people have with long-term investing is that they get too excited over small gains. So you might buy, you know, the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or, you know, whatever instrument you want. You make 10, 20% one year, some people are going to be tempted to take profit. But the real gains, the compounding gains, show up much longer term than that. And so if you get excited about a 20% gain and you cut your position, one of the things that the money managers are going to do better is they're going to leave that money alone. A good one will, at least. They'll leave that money alone. They'll let it work long term. Now, some people have the discipline to be able to say, hey, I'm not going to touch this. I'm going to leave it alone. But anyways, the NASDAQ's starting to push a little bit here. So look at the NQ. Over the 200 exponential. The NASDAQ's starting to fight its way back up. Oil pulling back a little bit short term. Again, rate cut bets drop as inflation fears rise from oil. Kalshi is now predicting one cut, a 25% chance of one cut, a 24% chance of two cuts, and only a 19% chance of three cuts in 2026. I mean, my Microsoft position is okay. It's not, I mean, 387s. We almost hit 387s this morning. We hit 389s at 5 a.m. this morning on Microsoft. So it's definitely not risk-free right here. But that's facts. I cost myself money doing it. Yeah, for sure. I have too, I'm sure. Like, there's a lot of stuff where I swing trade it, and if I would have just sat on it long term, I would have made 5, 10x more money. So depends on what kind of trader you are, though. I like swing trading, but hey, is key. Do you buy at support or hope it heads to 650 to set up for best prices? All right, chat. 5 minutes. Here we go. 5 minutes until the opening bell. Let's see what we get today. What are you buying today, guys? You buying oil? You buying the Dow? You buying the S&P 500? You buying the NASDAQ? You buying hand-picked stocks? With sectors? Right, this might be the market on open dragging the NASDAQ down, but look at this dip. We'll see what the opening bell brings. OpenAI and Pentagon add surveillance protections to their AI deal, according to Axios. All right, chat. 4 minutes left. Buying Bitcoin, ice cream, oil and Bitcoin, silver, Chainlink, dollar index, Palantir, NASDAQ, nothing at the moment. No buys, only shorts. Enjoying the volume on oil micros. Credit call spreads. Or cost credit spreads. Watching oil, NASDAQ futures. I mean, I'm watching those too. The big question is, what do we get at the opening bell today? Is it bullish or bearish? A lot of people are expecting bearish. I asked the chat this earlier, and almost all bears to the opening bell. I'm not saying that means I want to buy things today, but I think you could get squeezes to the other side if it's too overly weighted to one side here. Oil's still pretty much at the highs of the day, though. But I'll ask the chat again, are you bullish or bearish for today's open? Are you bullish or bearish for the day's open? We know. Bearish on metals, pop on bullish, bears. Bulls, sell, bull. Seen a lot more bulls than earlier. Bull, Pop up bullish. Depends on what we get the first 30 minutes to an hour. Sell. 3 minutes. Go ahead and try to squeeze the bears. I'm not. I get it, man. It depends on what kind of move we have. If we get a huge move at the opening bell, maybe I'll target it. I'm going to look for an opening range breakout probably today. Probably. What do we get? Fairly bullish. All right, guys, here we go. 2 minutes left. I think it'll be a massive move at the open. I mean, I generally hope we get big movements, but I am not... You never know. There's always variance with stuff like this. All right, so we got the 200 exponential right here. All right, chat, here we go. 2 minutes left. Don't get trapped. Selective bullish. Our stronger dollar things going on. Yeah, the dollar index is up today. Yields are higher. Dollar index is up. Oil's higher. Inflation worries driving yields higher, I think is what it is. Inflation worries from oil prices going up. Oil going so high means maybe inflation worries for headline, which means higher interest rate sentiment from inflation worries. Higher yields brings more people in to buy those U.S. assets and boost the dollar. Is the correlation, I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the correlation today. Let me know if you agree with that, chat. Anyways, we got 1 minute and 10 seconds left. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. Yeah, China coming out critical of the conflict. Less than a minute. Here we go. Let's trade. So Israeli military orders Iranian civilians to evacuate areas near a Tehran industrial area and payment airport near Tehran. Warns it will carry out operation in the coming hours. So more stuff going on. 20 seconds here. Here we go. 10 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed, chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, market is depressing right now. Kind of scary. NASDAQ is starting to jump some here, though. And here's the opening bell, guys. Good luck. Again, if it's late, put it in 2x speed. Hit the live button. You'll catch up. There is the opening bell. Let's see what the NASDAQ brings us today. The Dow has been flushing as well here. We're watching oil prices at the opening bell. We're watching NVIDIA and others. Although NVIDIA is starting to rebound at the open. Not a crazy amount here, but look at NVIDIA jump. 179's filling some of the gap on the downside for NVIDIA at 179's here. So NVIDIA actually started to jump up a little bit now. Here's the NASDAQ. Oil's kind of flat at the opening bell, but the NASDAQ's starting to fill some of this gap. Sometimes the first move is the wrong move, and I have to kind of wait for this, to be honest. But that's a big move to the upside in the NASDAQ here. Look at the NASDAQ jump right now. NASDAQ jumping. Big green move at the opening bell. Wow. Big jump at the opening bell for the NASDAQ here. See if this jump continues. All right, look at that big pullback here. So we had a jump at the opening bell. We did have a jump. I haven't taken any trades yet. I kind of have to wait here and see if we're going to get anything else. But we did have a jump. Nvidia went up, retraced. Alphabet's starting to push up some. I want to check out oil. Oil's dipping down. The Nasdaq's jumping up. It just ran into the volume weighted average price though. So we're about 2 minutes into the day. And we have to kind of wait and see. I got to wait at least 4 or 5 minutes before I take any positions here. I will look for an orb if we get one. Goldman Sachs dropped 4% in a second. Nasdaq getting closer to the highs of the open here. Now it's starting to dip down. Oil still dropping. Wait call forwards. There's almost no stopping Iran from enrichment. Where's the Dow at this morning? So the Dow still at 48,100s or so. Nasdaq's starting to give back some of these gains here. But we have a muted open so far. We went up a little bit and now we're sideways the first 3 or 4 minutes. I'm tempted to buy, but I'm also worried about a contraction here. And we're only about 2 minutes into the day, or 3 minutes into the day. All right, I'll try to buy it, although it's risky. We're already up so much, though, so we can add a little bit to this. See if we get the pop back up. I know it's risky going long today, but we'll try it. We already have such a large cushion, it will be okay either way. There we go. Sideways range. I'm going to cut this and get out small for that. We're still sideways here, but we're starting to drop a little bit more in the NQ. Starting to turn the other way here. Look at the NASDAQ. On the 24,540s. Starting to fill some of this gap on the downside. We might have an opening range here over the past 5 minutes. We are seeing some drops in the NASDAQ here. Oil's sideways. Iran's Mehrabad airport was hit, according to Iranian news agencies. You don't see oil jumping though. So I'm short right here. We're up a little bit here. You can see it on the screen, but I'll probably just add to this if we go green. Not gonna hold this too long. We are right at the 200 exponential though. I don't want to see that prop it up. But we're gonna start getting in small and then holding this. See if we get a continuation here. Yeah, I gotta cut that. Wait, that's too big of a bounce. We're getting just faked out too much. So I'll wait. But I'm starting to jump back up now. Started to fill some gap on the upside. Now we're starting to drop back down to the downside here, though. A lot of sideways movement here. NASDAQ. I think it wants to break down, but it's hard to tell. Starting to push back up here. See if some of this movement comes back higher. NASDAQ starting to make a pretty big bounce at the open here. Interesting. Look at the NASDAQ jump. I mean, I traded in the first 5 minutes. It's all right. Bitcoin 66.5s. Got this opening range here though. It's kind of a nice range to attack. We might keep trying. But I have Quant Tower up. I think I do as well. Rhythmic. Drop the pop. Yeah, we did get a squeeze to the upside, but it's not a huge move yet, so I have to kind of wait. We did break the range, though, in the first 5 minutes. Chat, if you want to help support the channel, Apex has got an 85% discount. They recently reduced a lot of different stuff on their site. So, they recently reduced a lot of stuff on their site if you look at it. You can get a 50K account for like 30 bucks right now on Apex, 30 bucks. Most day traders lose money, guys. So if you fund your own account, thousands of dollars, again, you can listen to whoever you want, who your mentor is, buy their course, you're still probably going to lose. This is just objectively true. So it makes no sense to fund 5, 10, 20, 30 grand trying to day trade in the futures market. There's no PDT rule. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, commodities, oil, silver, all these different things. Very similar to day trading stocks. There's just no PDT rule. And get you around the PDT rule, and it's just a good way to learn when most day traders lose money. So Apex right now, you get a 50K account for 30 bucks basically. 85% off sale. They got rid of their, you now have an intraday trailing option, and you have a end of day trailing option. And the intraday one's pretty cheap, but the end of day one's pretty cheap as well. You get a 50K account for like 30 bucks, I think. Again, if you want to help support the channel, I'll put the link up. Great way to help support the channel. You can use my promo code BG on Apex. You can use it on Take Profit. I have to watch for my orb signal here, though. Bitcoin is drunk. Yeah, here's the link for Apex if you want to check it out. My link. You can also see it pinned at the top of the chat. But yeah, use promo code BG. Here's a pullback here. I'm kind of interested in buying this dip, but I want to wait for the 10-minute orb to form. We have a 10-minute opening range breakout, which is my favorite one right here. Low of 500, high of 660. So we will wait. See if we get a break there. But again, if you want to check out Apex, I'll put the link up. Sorry, I haven't done it yet. It's coming. There's the link right there. Check it out. Oil still at 77s. We have this orb, though. So the opening range is right here now. I like a 10-minute one, to be honest. That's the orb right now. We're going to wait for that range to break here and then target that, I think. The good thing about Apex is that you get funded in one day as well. Like one good trade. But here's the orb. We're watching for this orb break. Yeah, well, the reason I'm talking about opening range breakouts, which is orb is the abbreviation for it. I'll show you why. Here is me testing this. A 10-minute orb indicator using a custom script. That's a good one right there. 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 Now, they're not perfect. Even this one, it didn't signal, but look at the orb. It automatically documents this. Here's another one. Here's another one. And so the 10-minute one is what I find works the best personally. Look at this one. This one worked. So the 10-minute one is the one I find that works the best. And if you use my promo code BG on Apex or take profit 10 times, I'll send you the script. Just join our Discord. We do have the payroll report on Friday, so here we get. Not an investment professional for sure. Definitely not. All right, let's see if we break this range. Yeah, I'm just sitting here waiting for it to break this range. The good thing about take profit is some of the most relaxed rules in the game. No activation fee, and you can also withdraw daily from take profit. So benefits to both of these. Apex is cheaper generally. Take profit's got some great rules as well. So if you want to check out take profit, again, here's the link for that one. You can use my promo code BG. Check it out. Yeah, here's the link. Oil up to 77.20s. Nasdaq getting closer to the bottom of the range. My level here though is 24.5s. If we break underneath this and then retest it, I will attack a short like this and then look for a continuation down. Same thing with the upside. If we break over this level and then pull back to this range here, I will try to buy a breakout of this. Is what I'm looking for. But I need to wait for confirmation retest. The Dow has cracked lows again, though. If we look at the Dow on the left side, the Dow just broke down at 47.900s. All right, so we're dropping down now. So the Nasdaq getting really close to the 200 exponential here. We'll see if the Dow jumps. But yeah, getting a little spicy out there. Getting close to the low. The Dow already broke lows. Nasdaq starting to dip. Yeah, the Dow's no longer over 50. It's at 47s now. Gold down. Gold's flushing. Silver, I'm assuming, is flushing as well. Silver's down to under $80. All right, so the Nasdaq jumped right at the 200 exponential. We're still in this opening range, although silver and gold are starting to flush back down. Oil's kind of stagnant since the open. So we have an opening range here. We have to just wait for this opening range to break. Still waiting for the range breakout here. spot gold down 5% to just around 5,060 an ounce. Stocks are down, S&P down, Dow is down. All right, so look, if we pull up my indicator here, see if it's reading this one. Yeah, so the indicator has identified the opening range here on a. I like the 10-minute orb though. We're still waiting for this to break. Starting to rip down here though. Look at the drop. Gotta wait. The Dow just cracked lows again. It's at 47,870s for the Dow. All right, so the Russian grain trade with Iran through the Black Sea and Caspian Sea has stalled after U.S. attacks, according to Russian sources. Nasdaq starting to flush back down. Dow is already breaking down today. Yeah, as we get closer to this low on the Nasdaq, I'm going to start to get maybe more excited here, but I have to wait for it. Here's a separate Apex account here. We're going to see if we can maybe get funded. I think there's a 50K one-on-one trade using the orb strategy. Try it. We have to kind of break under some of these big lows. My low is 24.5s. So this is actually my low right here is 24.5s. If we look at this, this is my low right here. 24.500s. Oh, I don't want to put an alert. All right, so we just cracked it for a second though. I need a retest. This is too small of a drop. I need to wait for a full break underneath this and then a retest of it pull back. But we did break under the 200 exponential here. All right, so we're going to look for a follow through down to maybe like 450s and then a bounce back up to 5s is really what I want here. Here's a 200 exponential. That 24.5 level still holding pretty firm here. We could reject the 200 exponential at 532s. That looks like kind of what we're doing so far. Weeble has issues right now. Bitcoin has been falling since the open as well. You can see Bitcoin, it's all the way down to 66.3s. So Bitcoin dumping down here as well today. Starting to drop 66.3s. Nasdaq bouncing right here. So this is why we want the retest, not just the break. The break will fake you out. We could short the 200 EMA at 530s or 525s. I mean, we could, but too big of a bounce. All right, chat. I'm kind of sitting tight waiting here. I don't see anything I really like yet. It's bouncing back and we're still in this pretty tight range. So we're going to wait. We dip back down under the 200 EMA, maybe we'll jump in short. Still pretty slow. Again, here's the bottom of this range. We want the retest of 500. So we want to, again, ideally, I want to dip underneath this move and then a bounce back to retest it right around here. That's where I'm looking at. So if we get pushed under this, it's looking better. Selling pressure showing up. I need a continuation first. Red. Battling the 200 EMA now. I could short this. I have to wait, I think, though. You guys red or green since the opening bell 23 minutes ago? Red or green? We do have some Fed members speaking at later on today. Green, 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 maroon, green, red, green. Trying to break down here, but it's taking too long. Here's a little bit of red showing up. Let me see some news. Tehran's UN envoy says Iran has not contacted the US about peace talks. That news just dropped. That might be weighing markets down. Is it the weekend yet? Light green, VIX. Kind of sideways again here, though, guys. On the docket today, we are supposed to have John Williams speaking at 9:55 in about 10 seconds. Jeff Schmid's supposed to speak at 10:10 and Kashkari's supposed to speak at 11:15. Really not moving much here. Kind of stagnating now in the NASDAQ, oil, Nvidia. A lot of stuff's choppy. I want to short, but I need a breakdown first. If we drop down to 24.5s and then rebounds up to test this, maybe I'll short. But I need a little bit more of a confirmation here on the downside. Metals find a bottom. Yeah, again, gold and silver. Struggling. Here's silver. Under 80s right now. Still waiting for this orb to work, but I have to wait for it. Williams' central bank rate policy stance currently well positioned. Trump is open to supporting armed militias in Iran. NASDAQ starting to flush down a little bit here. Yeah, Chad, so I'm trying to wait. I really am trying to wait here. But it's getting a little boring out here. I gotta wait for it though. We're getting a little closer. Maybe I should put this over the actual security it's watching. That's what you get for purchasing fire red instead of leaf green. Is that a Pokemon reference? I can't tell. Sounds like it. 24,520s on the NASDAQ. We're towards the low of the opening range, but we're not really moving at all. We're kind of chopping back and forth. So we're just waiting here. NASDAQ's starting to get a little closer here, though, to 24.5s. Hey, what's up? What's up, Clap? Hey, thank you, friend. Yeah, I'm doing good, brother. I'm good, doing good, man. Covering all the news here in markets. Doing my best. Honestly, my morning channel has grown a lot. Like, we used to get like 500 or 600 views if nothing was going on. Now we get 1,000 plus sometimes, you know, with no economic data. I'm not saying nothing's going on. We're starting to break under 24.5s. Wait, what did I just do? Okay, there we go. All right, so here's the bottom of that range. The 200 exponential starting to fade back down as well. All right, so here we go. We get a bounce back higher now. I will short. Just a red showing up here. So here's the breakdown. NASDAQ just cracked the opening low. Under 24.5s. All right, we're going to jump in here on the retest of this level. Look for the orb. Take 10. Again, I'm trying to pass this challenge in one try here, so we're going to take 20. See if the downswings continue. Definitely not the downswing we wanted. I have to see what the trailing drawdown is. Trailing drawdown. $1,000. Okay, so we still got room. I need to lower my size a little bit here, though, but we'll give it a second. Nope, just hit it, I think. Yep. Well, we tried on this challenge. It was only $30, though. The good thing about Apex is that's a $30 challenge. This channel is growing because you are forecasting CPI and PPI correctly. Sometimes. Let me see if we got some movement here. It could be the Fed Williams speaking. Hold on. Okay, so Levitt did not explicitly confirm. Says Trump spoke with many partners, according to the Wall Street Journal. They're open to supporting armed militias. Fed's Williams says inflation ebbs, further reductions in policy rate target eventually warranted. Rate policy stance currently well positioned. Yeah, just getting faked out on the orb. I think I was a little greedy. It's just taking too long. John, the CPI Oracle. Yeah. Definitely the CPI Oracle. That's me. I'm gonna change my channel name just to that. Again, we'll see. You were right back down, though. It was a combine, or is a challenge account. Not a combine, but it was a challenge account, guys, so it'll be alright. We can trade our actual funded here. Let me pull this up. Now let me exit out of this, and then we'll throw a different one up. I still might short, but it's going to be less here for sure. You got too many windows up. Hold on. We exit out of this. All right, so we're still breaking down. The orb could still work, I think, here. We just jumped in with 3 contracts here on this one. We're up a little bit. We'll see if we can add more to it. I'd like to add more. We're gonna add 6 to this now, but I gotta be careful. It's a choppy day today, so I'm not gonna take too much risk. We'll give it 1 more second and then we'll cut it if it breaks down. Or if it doesn't break down. I'm gonna take about half my sizing off here just to protect the trade since we got out roughly break even. I still want to give it a second to break down, but my risk is noticeably less now with half the size. If we break down more, I'll add it back. You can see we're still technically green on the day. There we go. I'm gonna cut it right there. We're up about $100, give or take. The green is good. Kind of scalping some of this move to build up a cushion. But again, my funded account here is doing pretty good here. Check this out. It's small gains, but we're doing pretty solid here, actually. The orb would have worked, I think. All right, so we tried 2 to get our second time. Trying to get funded on Apex. All right, this is try 2 here, guys. Try 2. See, I think I'm too greedy on challenges. Like, once I'm funded, I'm really risk averse. But when I'm trying to get funded, I'm too greedy most of the time. So that orb, though, is still kind of working. See? All right, so we're starting to bounce back higher here. I guess I'm going to try to let it retest this. I need a larger bounce, so I wouldn't mind 520 or 525 here. But there's a chance we break down under this level. So I'm going to start small, add to it as it goes higher here, try to pass it in one swing. How much do I have to make on this? All right, so that worked. But it's not quite enough. What do I need to make here? This is a 100,000 account on Apex. I think I have to make 9, right? 6,000. Oh my goodness. I look up higher here, guys. I mean, here's that bounce. There we go. Essentially shorting this 200 EMA here, but fix this little average, see if we break down some more. There we go. We only have 10 contracts now. We're down a little bit on this net, but I want to see if the 200 exponential rejects it. There we go. Keep flushing down. Can I show you guys the window capture? There you go. I'm going to add to this now. 20 contracts. If we keep the breakdown on. There we go. Take half of that off. Let the ride down continue here, hopefully. Maybe add on a bounce. The larger size is what we're going to look for. There we go. We have 20 contracts now. It's just hard to get a direction here. We're not really moving much on either side since the open. There we go. All right, we're in 30 contracts now. If we break lows, we're close. There we go. I'm gonna take half off there. Start liquidating some more on this drop. Cut the rest there. Made about 1.5. I probably should have looked for a little bit more. You have to use. Again, you could also use Take Profit. Take Profit, you can use the same promo code BG. Take Profit has some of the most relaxed rules in funding. Once you're over their buffer, once you're funded, you can take daily withdrawals. Literally every day, if you build up enough profit, you can take daily withdrawals. There's no activation fee. And again, some of the most relaxed rules in funding. You get 40% off there if you use my coupon code or my link here. BG is the coupon code again, BG. If you have Lucid, you can use BT as the coupon code. But here's the breakdown though. So we're starting to see a little bit larger of a breakdown. I'm going to take 5 contracts here on this little bounce and see if the flush down continues. But it's small, and then we'll add to it if we go green. There we go. We added a little bit to it. We have 8. Close enough to the lows, but I'm not going to add any more to this. I'm using a 10-minute orb opening range breakout, so I'm looking for the 10-minute. Like if I put this up here, here's the 10-minute orb. The more we get closer to the low of this on the retest, the more I'm interested in it. But today's not a great day for it in terms of momentum. We're just kind of sideways chopping today a lot. But I'm going to start cutting this. We're still up over 1,000 on this, but we're just kind of going up and down, faking out a lot today. Not a good day. It's just a lot of chop. But we're green on this one now. I'll probably cut out of here, guys. Tomorrow, we do have the ADP jobs report. So we have the ADP jobs report tomorrow. So just be ready. ADP jobs report 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. So we will see what that looks like. But again, ADP jobs report 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. See, now we're starting to pop back higher. But tomorrow, again, we have the monthly ADP report. The monthly ADP report tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see. We have market crash worries too. Again, it's the prelim NFP report tomorrow. What it is. Yeah, I got you, Pawn. Yeah, we're gonna probably close it down, but hey, do me a favor, hit the live button next to the play button, put it at 2x speed. I'm gonna cut out of here. We'll see what happens. I'm still kind of watching for the orb though, so I'll let you guys know how that goes. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Not an investment professional. So guys, not an investment professional. Later, chat.